Mayhill. I'm the sheriff of the Las Vegas Metropolitan Police Department, and we are collectively here this morning to give you an update on the Cybertruck explosion at the Trump Hotel on Las Vegas Boulevard yesterday. Our work never stopped, as many of you went to sleep last night, and I just want to give you an update on a lot of what it is that we found through the processing of the Cybertruck. This is a joint investigation involving the FBI, the ATF, the Las Vegas Metropolitan Police Department, and these folks worked through the night and found a lot of stuff that is very useful for this investigation. As you look at this Cybertruck here, we had to transport this down to our fleet services so that we could really get through this thing. And I remind you that the subject inside wasn't able to be removed for a very long period of time because he was burnt beyond recognition. And so as we continue to move through this, I'm going to talk a little bit about his identity and what we believe, but I would like to highlight a couple of things that the teams found inside of the Cybertruck that are useful to the investigation. And that, first and foremost, is a military identification. We also found a passport. We found a Desert Eagle 50 caliber semi-automatic pistol. And if you'll notice on a lot of these guns that we're going to talk about here, they're almost just burnt beyond recognition as well. There's a SLR model B30 semi-automatic firearm, number of fireworks that were still in the vehicle that had to be removed. Notably, we found an iPhone and a smartwatch, and then several credit cards were also in the name of our subject. Our subject is 37-year-old Matthew Livelsberger. He's of Colorado Springs, Colorado, born July 22nd of 1987. Now, as you'll see here on a picture of his driver's license, let's see, the question really still remains for me, and I know that there's a lot of you folks in the media that are identifying this person as the person in our vehicle. As I mentioned to you already, his body is burnt beyond recognition. And I do still not have confirmation 100% that that is the individual that was inside of our vehicle. And so as I'm calling it now, the subject or person of interest, I will not come back until I have the confirmation through DNA or medical records that this is indeed, in fact, the subject inside of the vehicle. Now, further complicating this identification of this individual, we also discovered through the coroner's office that the individual had sustained a gunshot wound to the head prior to the detonation of the vehicle. One of the handguns was found at his feet inside of the vehicle.
Hey, what's up, you guys?
Obviously, in how we're trying to identify him, and I'm feeling comfortable to
Happy
give you this
summertime in South America, you guys.
A tremendous amount of substantial evidence to include he rented the Turo vehicle. There are 2 tattoos, one of which was on the stomach,
okay,
one of which is on the arm.
Say
that we
hello
can
to
see
you guys
bits
right
and
now,
pieces
live
of it as in comparison
Instagram.
to what it is that we now know he
Who
had
is there?
On
Leonard,
his body.
what's up,
that has
Leonard?
given us a lot of confidence that this is, in
How's it
fact,
going? Where
the
are
same
you
person.
now?
As well as
Leonardo
clearly obvious, which is
Ciclista.
the
Probably
credit
you are
cards,
in Brazil or
the
something,
military
huh?
identification, the passport.
Carlo, 1254. What is
as you'll
up?
see here in just a very
Tell me,
short
where are
period
you
of
now?
time, we tracked his movements from Colorado to
AVQ
Las
101. What is
Vegas,
going
and in a number
on?
of the photographs that we were able
This
to
is
determine,
Quebec, you guys.
he was the individual
What does it
that
look
was
like?
driving the vehicle.
I think there is some
And also,
kind of like
I'd like to reiterate this point to you.
effect.
We still have only ever seen him in this
DHPB
vehicle. I'm not aware of any other
777.
subjects
Where are you
involved
now?
in this particular case.
Tell me where are you? What country are you now connecting from?
Now, I would like to acknowledge a couple of things because I know what's
Let's
going
chat a
on
little bit.
in
I'm
the social media world,
at the
and there are a
park
number
over
of
here
things
in
in
the
this
Scouts.
case that are
This is
similar
Southern
to the
Quebec,
attack
this
in
snow.
New Orleans. We do know that our subject here
12.
served in the military. In fact, he's a current member of the military.
You guys has a name,
Both
eh?
of the subjects served at Fort Bragg, North Carolina.
Some people
What we do know
up
about
in
that
accounts.
is it's a very large military base, and we have no record that they served in the same unit or even at the same years at Fort Bragg, something that continues to remain under investigation. I also know that they both served in Afghanistan in 2009. We don't have any evidence that they were in the same province in Afghanistan, the same location,
or the same unit. Again, something else that remains under investigation. And we also know, of course, that they both used the rental company Turo to rent their vehicles. As far as his military background, it's been confirmed by DOD that he was indeed in the United States Army. He was also a Green Beret operations sergeant who spent most of his time at Fort Carson, Colorado, and in Germany. He was on approved leave from Germany, where he was serving with the 10th Special Forces Group. He was also previously in the National Guard and the Army Reserve. I'd like to point out to you that through exceptional joint investigative effort, we've gotten to a place where we believe we can show you his route to Las Vegas from Colorado, and Carlos will put up the map there for you. And we know that he rented the Cybertruck in Denver on December 28th. We tracked his movements through the Tesla charging stations to Monument, Colorado on December 30th. On the 31st of December, the truck was charged in Trinidad, Colorado, Las Vegas, New Mexico, and Albuquerque and Gallup, New Mexico. On January 1st, the truck was charged in Holbrook, Flagstaff, and Kingman, Arizona. We last tracked the truck in Kingman at 05:33 yesterday morning. The truck was first spotted in Las Vegas at 7:29 a.m. yesterday. And Carlos will pull up a picture of the truck pulling onto Fashion Show Drive here. And that picture was observed at about 7:34 a.m. We know that he pulled into the Trump valet. I believe we have a video of that.
Okay.
You can see the Cybertruck highlighted there.
Ayer estuve en un tramo de 4.080 metros.
So through extensive surveillance video, we were able to track him leaving there, and we know that he went to several different places along Las Vegas Boulevard, and he spent some time in a parking lot of a business near Flamingo and Las Vegas Boulevard. We then have a video of the truck pulling back onto Las Vegas Boulevard from the sands. You see that there? That's north on the boulevard from Sands at 8:39, where he then immediately heads to the Trump Hotel, pulls into the valet area, and as of course you all know, the explosion occurs within 17 seconds of his arrival at the valet. There's some additional investigative updates that are going to be provided to you by a couple of the other speakers here, the first of which will be our special agent in charge of the FBI local office, Spencer Evans. Spencer?
Good morning. My name is Spencer Evans. I'm the special agent in charge of the FBI's Las Vegas division. As the sheriff mentioned, we've been working through the night with our partners, the Las Vegas Metropolitan Police Department and other agencies, to gather all the facts and determine a motive to what was initially reported to the FBI as a bombing incident, to which our special agent bomb techs and others responded. Obviously, we're always concerned in these sorts of events to ascertain what the motive is. We understand that's everybody's at the forefront of everyone's thoughts. And so looking into exactly what the motivation is remains our number one priority. This is why the FBI's Joint Terrorism Task Force has been brought into play. The Joint Terrorism Task Force, most important part of that acronym is joint. It is done in concert with our partners, which are comprised of more than a dozen investigative agencies here throughout the state of Nevada. We've been working hand in glove, side by side, tirelessly to determine, is there any ongoing threat to the public, to identify the subject, to determine any potential connection to other events going on in the world, most notably in New Orleans, and then obviously to determine if there's anything else that we need to be tracking down. At this time, as the sheriff's pointed out, we feel that the subject has been identified, although not conclusively, waiting for DNA evidence on that front. However, we do feel like we have the subject identified, and at this time there is no information about additional subjects that the FBI is tracking on. Our resources, as I mentioned, that have been deployed in support of this event include Special Agent Bomb Techs, our evidence response team, which is processing crime scenes, side by side with the forensics folks from Las Vegas Metropolitan Police Department, our investigators, our intelligence analysts, and then outside of the FBI Las Vegas field office, we have investigative leads that are being conducted by FBI field offices both internationally and domestically as well. As always, when the FBI is involved with any sort of case like this, we ask for help for the public. Anyone with information related to this incident, we encourage you to please call 1-800-CALL-FBI, or you can submit a tip online at tips.fbi.gov. We've already received thousands of tips related to this incident. The challenge that we face moving forward is to separate those that are pertinent and relevant and those that can be verified from those that have not. For example, one of the tips that we received just today relates to information alluding to this subject's personal experiences related to his time and activity in the military. Again, that's unverified and uncorroborated, but one of many tips and leads that we'll be following up.
Ok, Alfred, está bien ripiada,
If you have any additional information, again, encourage everyone, 1-800-CALL-FBI or submit it online, tips.fbi.gov. We will tirelessly work to exhaust all investigative leads and conclusively determine what the nature of this particular incident was, what the motivation was, and to the extent possible, share all that information as we obtain it. I'll now turn some time over to the Assistant Special Agent in charge from the ATF, Kenny Cooper.
Good morning, everybody. My name is Kenny Cooper. I'm the Assistant Special Agent in charge of ATF San Francisco Field Division. ATF is bringing our expertise in post-blast investigations and our crime gun intelligence to specifically assist in this investigation. I will tell you that our Special Agent bomb techs are working with FBI and with Las Vegas Metro and sifting through that post-blast debris to find components and investigative leads that will derive from that evidence process. We're too early into that investigation process to give any determination as far as how this device was initiated. I will say that we do know that the components primarily consist of fireworks, mortars, aerial shells, and are all consumer fireworks. Nothing commercial grade has been discovered at this point, and we've identified some fuel enhancers like the Coleman fuel and VP racing fuel and some explosive targets that can be purchased at any sporting goods store. We've also, as the sheriff mentioned, we've identified 2 semi-automatic handguns recovered from the Tesla. We have successfully traced those firearms, and I can tell you that Matthew Livesberg lawfully purchased both of these firearms on December 30th, 2024. We have agents following up those investigative leads. We know exactly where those firearms were purchased, and we will share any developments from those leads as they come in. Thank you.
We also have the Clark County Fire Chief here, John Steinbeck, and he didn't have any additional updates, but if there's any questions in regards to what the fire department did during this, he's here to answer those questions as well. With that, I'd just like to say before I take a couple questions from all of you, you'll notice that we're not releasing information that we haven't corroborated and verified. We're very well aware of all of the things that are going around on social media. But that's just the way we're going to conduct this investigation. We're not putting it out until we can tell you for a fact what information it is that we're putting out. And so we're going to continue to do that, but I'm also confident to tell the Las Vegas community and this great nation that we don't believe there's any further threat from this subject or anybody associated to him here in Las Vegas. With that, Denise, I saw you had your hand up. If you could just identify yourself, please.
Did this suspect have any other connections to Las Vegas? Had he ever been here before, or any reason to be here?
So the question was, did the subject have any ties to Las Vegas, or had he ever been here before? I do believe we had one instance a number of years ago where he stayed at a local hotel, but we're still trying to verify that information as well. Sir?
The David Charles, KLAS TV. There was, you have a gentleman in a Cybertruck, Trump Hotel. There's information that the FBI was in Colorado Springs last night, possibly at this gentleman's home. Any information about why?
Ok.
Spencer answered that question.
Entonces, Alfredo Guachiré,
So as I mentioned,
¿qué tal? ¿Cómo
motivation at this
andas?
point is unknown.
Muy bien,
We are,
Omar,
as
estoy
I
acá en
mentioned earlier, following investigative leads both domestically and internationally as well. And so that includes search warrants and witness interviews.
Alfredo Guachiré, ¿qué tal? ¿Cómo
information,
andas?
And basically trying to compile the
Muy
facts.
bien,
And
Omar,
so there's
estoy
investigative
acá en
activity taking place literally around the globe, trying to determine what the potential nexus is. But at this time, at this particular moment in time, as the sheriff aptly said, we have to focus on what we know and what we don't know. We know we have a bombing, absolutely, and it's a bombing that certainly has factors that raise concern. It's not lost on us that it's in front of, of the Trump building, that it's a Tesla vehicle, but we don't have information at this point that definitively tells us or suggests it was because of this particular ideology or that, any of the reasoning behind it. That's the purpose of the investigation that we're conducting, is to get to the bottom of exactly what happened, why and how.
Sir?
Tim Caputo with KBC of Los Angeles. You mentioned a number of similarities between this case and the one in New Orleans. How far in the investigation process do you guys go to try to rule out that they are connected, knowing that you already have a couple of things that seem to connect them together?
So the question is how are we working to rule in or rule out any connections to the New Orleans event? And the answer to that is every tip and lead that comes in, every piece of evidence that comes in, we don't discount it, we work it through it. It's an interesting thing during these kinds of investigations that if these turn out to be simply similarities, very strange similarities to have. And so we're not prepared to rule in or rule out anything at this point. There's lots more for us to do in this investigation. We haven't even gotten into the phones.
Guachiré, ¿qué tal? ¿Cómo andas?
Very, very instructive.
Muy bien, Omar, estoy acá.
As we investigate, and we've got a lot more work to do to trace him, to see the stores that he went to rule out anybody else.
¿Qué tal? ¿Cómo
Lots of
andas?
investigative work to do, and we're
Muy
just
bien,
trying to
Omar,
get
estoy
it
acá en San
now.
Antonio.
That is factual.
Was the gunshot wound to his head self-inflicted?
¿Cómo andas?
Muy bien, Omar, estoy acá en San Antonio de los Cobres, en Salta. Estoy ahora mismo a 3.750 metros sobre el nivel del mar. Ayer estuve en un tramo de 4.080 metros sobre el nivel del mar, del Abra Blanca, que tiene un récord histórico hasta 2005 de ser el camino transitable, el primer camino transitable más alto del mundo. Pero además también tengo otra expedición que hacer, otra altura que subir mañana, y ya cerca también de Bolivia, Jujuy. Ayer justamente participé en rituales de Pachamama, del inicio del año y también el inicio del carnaval andino.
Ok, un momento, por favor, voy a ver.
Inside the Cybertruck, were they all purchased in Colorado?
The question is, were all the components found inside of the Cybertruck purchased in Colorado? And I don't know the answer to that. That's part of why we're doing the extensive part of the investigation.
No, yo quería hablar contigo porque quería saber si tú estás preparando botellas para cargar agua y cómo vas a...
So, as you all know, we had just successfully completed a New Year's Eve
¿O tú
event.
tienes controlado esa situación? Porque la calle, la ruta no está pavimentada, está enripiada, ¿eh?
For a New Year's Eve event, where I have
Sí,
thousands
hay
of police
tramos
officers that
que
are working day in
tienen
and day
sitio,
out.
arena.
Obviously, dozens and dozens of people that are working on this investigation as well.
Okay,
We'll
Alfredo.
continue to look at what that security posture looks like, but I'm confident in the safety.
No,
of
yo
our
quería
community
hablar
moving
con...
forward. Go ahead in the middle there.
Ok, Alfredo. No, yo quería hablar contigo porque quería saber si tú estás...
The question was, is there any criminal record?
Quería saber si tú...
That has not been brought to my attention that he had a criminal record. And I said that the Cybertruck was rented on December 28th in Denver, Colorado. Right here. Hi.
El inicio del carnaval andino.
Quería saber si tú estás preparando botellas para cargar agua y cómo vas a...
The question is, do we know if he checked into the Resorts World the day before this?
El carnaval andino.
Quería saber si tú estás preparando botellas para cargar agua y cómo vas a... ¿Cómo se dice? Purificar el agua, o tú tienes controlado esa situación, porque...
The question was general about the security posture, and that's entirely our entire community, not only Fremont Street and the Strip, but surrounding neighborhoods as well. just to make sure that we have the community feeling
Y
that level
también
of safety
el
that they
inicio
need
del
to feel
carnaval
such as
andino.
this. Right next to you there.
Quería saber si tú estás preparando botellas.
Exactly were you guys able to use the charging stations to track the cars through?
The question is how we're able to use the
andino.
tracking, the
Quería
charging
saber
stations
si
to
tú
track
estás
people
preparado.
all the way through. And I'm not exactly sure how to answer
Está
that question
enripiada,
just
¿eh?
yet. I know that there's some
Sí, hay
capability
tramos
by
que
being able
tienen-
to determine that the car is connected to the charger. One of the things that we're looking for is anybody that may have been at the charger
Está
location at the
enripiada,
same
¿eh?
time. We're looking to try
Sí,
to
hay
identify them
tramos
because
que
their vehicles would
tiene
have also
ripio,
had
arena,
cameras that would
la
have
ruta
taken
40
anybody
es la
in
ruta
and
más
around
larga.
them. We're trying to get people that may have been in the same locations at the same time that have video on
Difícilmente
their
lo pueda
vehicle that
usar
can
durante
provide
mi
that
viaje, pero
video to
llevo
us.
una GoPro
I'll take
y
two more.
el teléfono que voy registrando absolutamente todo y mejor adaptado a la altura propiamente.
Y más allá de la experiencia.
Yeah, the question is about the Cybertruck and the lack of damage to the Cybertruck and containing the explosion. Carlos, if you could put that truck back up there, it might be helpful, but
A la altura propiamente.
Y más allá de la experiencia de la cultura y de la localización y todo eso, hay elementos como por ejemplo está una situación de emergencia en el caso de que se te termine el agua y todo eso. ¿Tú estás preparado para eso? Digamos, o sea, ¿tú tienes algún plan B, plan C en caso de que pasa ese tipo, puede pasar ese tipo de cosas, ¿no? O cualquier emergencia. Porque internet no tienes, ¿no? Por ese camino 40 por lo menos, no me refiero a todo el camino, solo a la parte esa de arriba y esa salta. No hay internet ahí.
No solamente internet, no hay energía eléctrica. Yo vine con un cargador portátil solar, que es lo que me ayuda a conectar mi teléfono y mantener mi GPS constantemente. Uno no tiene energía eléctrica, obviamente. El agua es una cuestión. La energía y la electricidad es, digamos que, por un lado, es casi un componente, digamos, buena, ¿verdad? Porque en el teléfono uno tiene el GPS, yo utilizo un programa donde me marca GPS incluso estando sin internet. O sea, por ese lado está, y estar desconectado un poco de lo que pasa de la política de tu país también es a veces positivo en estos casos. Ahora, el agua es una situación que pasa mucho por la desesperación a veces por la persona. Yo llevo como 3 litros conmigo en cada viaje, cuando estoy partiendo, y cuando voy tomando la primera botella, ya voy cargando otra vez, esto ya sea a través de signo, y toda la ruta, prácticamente toda la ruta acá en la zona andina, las rutas siguen las quebradas, le llaman, donde se puede vivir, y alrededor de las quebradas están los arroyos, los ríos y arroyos. Entonces siempre la ruta sigue un arroyo cerca, o si está un poco lejos, no tan lejos, uno puede irse, si es que se queda sin agua, puede ir al arroyo. De hecho, yo usé mucho el río, perdón, en este caso el río Toro, que es Turo en quechua significa barro, después seguir el arroyo te moja todo y te lleva la lluvia.
Hablando del agua, ¿tú tienes alguna pastillas así para, ¿cómo se dice? Purificador de agua, ¿tienes algo?
No, acá todas las aguas están purificadas por nosotros, y en ese sentido, esa es mi planificación. Son 10,000 pesos por día lo que tengo planificado.
¿Cuánto es en dólares americanos? 10,000 pesos por día.
10,000 pesos.
8,000 guaraníes.
8,000 dólares.
8,000 guaraníes es un dólar, sí. Entonces, si son 75, son
de estos pueblos ancestrales. Y mi conclusión es que estos pueblos, esta cultura, esta tradición, estos conocimientos, medicina,
We will be back before you when there are substantial updates to provide to you. Thanks for all your great work.
Está bien. ¿Qué pasó?
La lengua, la forma que pensamos, cómo actuamos, están, aunque nosotros creemos que hace 500 años, la cuestión es que estos pueblos, estas culturas, estas tradiciones, estos conocimientos, medicina,
How can he survive? Right, one has said publicly no,
medicina.
but the reality, Selena, here is that there are more than a dozen House Republicans who have not said how they will vote for Johnson. Now, of course, Johnson is down here yesterday meeting with President-elect Trump over this specific discuss this. And look, they appear, both of them behind the scenes, appear to believe that Johnson has a really good chance of securing all the votes here. But there's still a lot of unknowns. We've reported on Congressman Chip Roy, for example, who's been a thorn in the side, really, of Johnson and President-elect Trump, who has spoken to Roy, who's essentially undecided, but also has a lot of power in the House. And there are questions about whether he's going to vote yes or no.
No, te estaba explicando de los pueblos ancestrales, creo que fue mi auricular. Conocimiento, medicina. No, te estaba explicando de los pueblos ancestrales, creo que fue mi auricular, el problema estaba con el auricular.
Sí.
Y lo que te decía como conclusión que los pueblos ancestrales latinoamericanos
happens in the afternoon, but it is possible that it could take multiple ballots. We're not sure of that. We still don't really know the numbers, but again, it is possible.
Lo que te decía como conclusión que los pueblos ancestrales latinoamericanos conocimiento, medicina. Y lo que te decía como conclusión que los pueblos ancestrales latinoamericanos están presentes más que nunca, y a pesar de que con camionetas de primer nivel equipadas.
Ahí están los canadienses.
Militares.
Ahí están los mineros canadienses, están ahí, que están haciendo terribles, vamos, o sea, según algunas personas que están estropeando el medio ambiente y todas esas cosas, tú sabes.
Lo están estropeando, y lo peor es que los trabajadores no son de aquí. No hay que dejar de hablar también, ¿verdad? Hay
por supuesto.
Hay mucha injusticia. No quiero entrar al dinero que tiene la persona.
Elon Musk es pobre. Elon Musk es pobre. Por ejemplo, de alguna forma es pobre. El hombre más rico del mundo es posiblemente uno de esos pobres, ¿no es cierto?
Pero acá me refiero yo al pobre, digamos, porque hay comunidades que vos encontrás acá que no tienen ninguna necesidad de comprar cosas, entonces se le denomina pobre, pero al no poder comprar cosas no significa que le falte cosas, que le falte. Ellos no. El hambriento es el que quiere vender, no con relación al dinero que tiene la persona.
Elon Musk es pobre. Elon Musk es pobre. Por ejemplo, de alguna forma es pobre. El hombre más rico del mundo es posiblemente uno de esos pobres, ¿no es cierto?
Pero acá me refiero yo al pobre, digamos, porque hay comunidades que vos encontrás acá que viven una vida muy saludable produciendo su comida.
Ajá. Oye, ya te dejo en paz porque esto se está alargando. He visto casas y construcciones abandonadas, incluso estaciones de trenes totalmente abandonadas ahí en lo inhóspito, donde reina el viento, ¿no es cierto? El viento permanente, donde no hay nada, ¿no? Donde todo es árido, donde no hay vegetales ni nada. Y las casas están abandonadas, las edificaciones en las esquinas están ahí en las construcciones, pero no hay nadie, inhabitadas.
Sí, acá vos encontrás pueblitos que no viven nadie, o vive, no la ruta 40, es una ruta que no se terminó, hablan más pausadamente, es todo muy diferente, y como a mí me pasa en todos los lugares donde me gustan menos.
Sí, en caso de que tu señal no aparezca, por ejemplo, tú dejas instrucciones a algunos allegados allá en Paraguay, me supongo, por si acaso que de repente tú no aparezcas en 2, 3, 4, 5 días, que no sepan de ti, saben lo que ellos deben hacer, o no dejas nada, simplemente. Y la segunda pregunta para finalizar, ¿cuándo partes? ¿Mañana?
Mañana, esto es muy importante y voy a empezar por ahí respondiendo. Mañana me voy a subir al Abra de la Calle. Si alguien quiere googlear, mirar un poco, estudiar un poco al Abra de la Calle, tiene 4.850, algunos dicen 4.900 metros sobre el nivel del mar, y ahí uno no puede quedarse más de media hora. Bueno, hay gente viviendo ahí. Abra acá hay una familia viviendo ahí. Ahora, uno que va de viaje hay mucho peligro en esa zona de altura, sobre todo que puede caer hielo en cualquier momento y las lluvias son torrenciales, y entonces cuando son torrenciales los ríos se colmatan y ahí ya te quedas expuesto a un problema. Entonces, para que eso no pase, eso suele pasar, las lluvias fuertes suelen pasar a la tarde. Y de noche el frío es terrible, es extremadamente frío. Uno no puede quedarse en Abra de Acay, uno puede quedar media hora y después ya se tiene que bajar, porque es un lugar sagrado también, es un lugar que hay que respetar. No puedes ir a echar allá a dormir en un lugar así porque vos te crees importante o te crees que vas a superar. Así que mañana voy a Abra de Acay y salgo tipo 7:30 de la mañana, me quedan unos 70 kilómetros de acá, y voy a cruzar antes del mediodía el Abra de Acay. Y lo otro que
eso significa que ya está en la ruta 40, el Abra de Acay ya está en la ruta 40, entonces ya no regresa a San Antonio de Las Cobres.
No, la ruta 40 pasa cerca de San Antonio de los Cobres y va al sur, y pasa cerca de San Antonio de los Cobres y va a Jujuy, Bolivia. Y yo estoy acá a 70 kilómetros. Ayer ya pasé por la ruta 40, solamente que este es el único pueblito donde uno puede venir a comprar comida y tiene que venir también a avisar, y ahí me voy un poco. Yo lo que hago es, el teléfono que usamos tiene GPS. Si uno tiene activado y tiene batería, tu GPS es visible para las personas a quien compartís. Yo comparto con 2 personas, armo un grupo de WhatsApp y me reporto ahí. Le digo, estoy saliendo a tal lugar y el próximo pueblito que me voy queda de acá 100, 200 kilómetros. Puede ser que me quede sin señal por 2 días. Es lo que me pasó ya por la ruta 51. Me quedé 2 días sin señal.
Abra de la calle, Alfredo, Abra de la calle, donde tú vas a ir mañana. Eso está, porque el pueblo de San Antonio de los Cobres está un poco más allá de la ruta 51 y 40 del cruce. Tienes que retornar para atrás para entrar en la ruta 40 del cruce. Y Abra de la calle está en esa zona donde tú vas a cruzar en la ruta 40, o está en el otro lado. ¿Dónde está la Abra de la calle?
Te digo, yo subí la ruta 51 de Salta, subí la montaña, y ahí me crucé con la ruta 40. Me crucé ya con la ruta 40. Le saludé, pero yo para dormir vine por la 51, vine hasta 13 kilómetros más de la ruta 40 para poder dormir, comprar comida, preguntar informaciones, porque lo que tengo que hacer acá es avisar a la policía de San Antonio de los Cobres que me estoy subiendo el Abra de la calle, para que cuando yo regrese del otro lado allá puedan saber que yo ya pasé, o si no ellos dan señal de que alguien se perdió y alguien no logró pasar el Abra de la calle. Además de mi GPS, que 2 personas me siguen permanentemente, aunque yo no tenga internet, ellos me pueden ver mi ubicación en tiempo real.
Qué bueno. Entonces ya sé dónde queda Abra de la calle. Que ya tú no regresas a San Antonio de los Cobres. Tú por Abra de la calle, cuando te dice que vas a estar media hora ahí, que hace frío y que llueve, todo eso está en el camino por la ruta 40.
Sí, así mismo.
Perfecto. Alfredo, un gran abrazo para ti, que cuídate, disfruta de todo. Yo escribí algo en Instagram, dije, el sacrificio eleva, sufrimiento aniquila. Eso significa que si una persona hace algo como tú, pero supone sacrificio, pues lo disfruta, aunque suponga sacrificio. El sufrimiento es un estado de ánimo. Generalmente el sufrimiento es un estado de ánimo. Por ejemplo, si tú estás en un sitio en donde no quieres estar o haces algo que no quieres hacer, eso es sufrimiento, ¿no? Ahora, lo que tú estás haciendo es una cosa que te eleva espiritualmente. Eso ya está. Felicitaciones,
Te agradezco mucho, Omar, y gracias por permitirme hacer estos tipos de reflexiones contigo, ¿verdad? Desde que empecé a viajar. Entonces, te agradezco mucho porque esto cuesta un poco hacer reflexiones de este tipo con cualquier persona, ¿verdad? Porque a veces la persona cree que vos te fuiste nomás porque como dicen, utilizan políticamente, dejaste esto, dejaste allá, alguien te está financiando, alguien te está haciendo esto, ¿verdad? La gente no entiende un poco estos tipos de viajes, qué significa, para qué lo hacen. Entonces, no, contigo sí da gusto charlar, un poco profundizar estos temas que todos deberían.
ABC News Live. I'm Selena Wade in Washington. Let's get right to our top story. The FBI today releasing new details about the man suspected in the deadly New Year's Day attack in New Orleans. They say 42-year-old Shamsuddin Jabbar, a Texas native and U.S. Army veteran, acted alone in a, quote, act of terrorism when he drove a pickup truck into a crowd of people on Bourbon Street in New Orleans' famed French Quarter, killing 14 and injuring dozens more. Jabbar also dead after a shootout with the police. Officials say the suspect's motives for that attack are coming into focus with new evidence suggesting he was inspired by ISIS. A flag for the terror group recovered from the back of his truck. Understanding his path to radicalization is now the priority of the FBI's work in the coming days. And earlier, President Biden addressed the public on this attack.
And we're going to share the facts as soon as I learn them so the American public doesn't have to wonder. In the meantime, like I said last night, New Orleans is a city of tremendous spirit. You can't keep it down. You really can't. And we're seeing that today. The Sugar Bowl is back on.
Meanwhile, family, friends, and loved ones of the victims are reeling after the horrific attack in the heart of the Big Easy.
I'm still in shock, honestly, and as time goes by, I'll see something that reminds me of him, and I'll break down. I know that's going to happen, probably for the rest of my life.
ABC's Trevor Alt joins us now live from New Orleans. So, Trevor, you are right outside the Superdome. The Sugar Bowl was supposed to be yesterday, but it's now been postponed until today. That game is underway as we speak. So just talk to us about the mood there right now and what security's been like to prepare for this.
Well, security is extremely present and obvious, Selena, I can tell you that much, and you can see the armored SWAT vehicle that they have positioned out here, one of many different redundancies of security, you could say, a number of different law enforcement vehicles. They brought in extra barricades, even some trucks from the sheriff's office to make sure that they're blocking the roads to prevent the same kind of tragedy that we saw earlier this week.
Absolutamente,
And make no
absolutamente.
mistake, when you're
Que
talking
descanses, Alfredo, que descanses mañana, que buena jornada para ti. Adiós.
Un abrazo, un abrazo.
There's always going to be security for an event like this, but it's clear that they're trying to make this a more prominent display, that they want to be very visible. That isn't just an armored SWAT vehicle. There's been officers
Jornada para ti. Adiós.
standing outside of it
Un
as
abrazo,
all of
un
these
abrazo.
fans slowly made their way in. Now, you asked about the mood. The fans that I talked to were adamant. These are especially diehard fans. They had to extend their stay, all of them, in order to be able to make it here unless they live in New Orleans because of this postponement. That meant changing flights. That meant extending hotel stays, too. But they were insistent on they need to keep living their lives. They're not going to live in fear. And that was what we heard from officials, too, is they are going to make it very clear that New Orleans is prepared to host these kinds of large-scale events, Selena.
Yeah, we spoke to Congressman Troy Carter of New Orleans earlier, who said that they are not going to cower, but that this attack should be a wake-up call to all of America. What else are you hearing from locals on the ground there? You've been in New Orleans since yesterday.
Yeah, well, one thing for sure that I think everyone is aware is that New Orleans is sadly no stranger to tragedies. They have endured a lot, and sadly, that's what they're going through right now. It's been very clear that a lot of the locals have been in a bit of a haze over the past 48 hours, as you might imagine, but they are also adamant that they need to keep living and also need to maintain that this is a safe place to go, that they want to make sure that they get those businesses back reopened, that they are able to host these tourists and to give them the kind of visit that they want in a location that is as iconic as Bourbon Street, one of the most lively places in the United States. So while there are certainly people who have expressed a little bit of fear or at least a little bit of uneasiness given what has transpired here, basically every person that we've talked to has still been adamant that they want to continue going about their business. They don't want to completely alter the way they do things. They want to keep New Orleans, New Orleans.
Yeah, real show of resilience in that community with Bourbon Street already opening back up today. So what are officials saying about security concerns in the area, and how are they ensuring safety ahead of the Super Bowl with this, which is just weeks away?
So there is the continued insistence that they're going to fix what was already in the midst of reparations that kind of created an opening for this truck attack, and that they have these bollards, essentially barriers that come up to block some of the roads that are meant to, or at least designed to, keep vehicles from driving down the middle of the street. Now, for the past few months, those have been under construction because they felt like there was something faulty with them. That was what led to an opening where there was just a vehicle on New Year's Eve into New Year's Day, allowing that truck to drive up on the sidewalk. They are adamant that they're going to look into that. They're going to get that fixed too. I can tell you, having walked Bourbon Street shortly after it reopened, that at least right now, there are still every single block multiple members of law enforcement that are just kind of hanging around. It's very clear that more than anything right now, they just want people to see them as a way of conveying that they are watching, that they're trying to keep things as secure as possible. And we heard from New Orleans officials, the governor of Louisiana, how adamant they are that they are prepared still to continue to host these major events. You mentioned the Super Bowl. That is set for next month. We have the Sugar Bowl that's happening as we speak. All of those tens of thousands of fans that are about to stream out here. And still today, you know...
Alfredo Bachelet, ¿qué tal? ¿Cómo andas?
We heard
Muy bien, Omar, estoy aquí.
music that is so closely affiliated with New Orleans. They are going to make sure that they continue to have the spirit of New Orleans, importante o te crees que vas a superar. And officials stress that they feel the people are safe when they come and do that, Selena.
Trevor, live from outside of the Superdome, thank you for joining us. And let's continue this conversation with ABC Justice Department reporter Alex Mallon. So, Alex, what more are authorities learning about the attacker's background and the motivation here?
Yeah, we heard from the FBI today, Selena, that they are really trying to dig in now on their, quote, path to radicalization of this deceased terrorist. They are, actively, we know, down in Houston interviewing members of his family, neighbors we've been in touch with. And it's really kind of painting a complex picture. Obviously, we have somebody who is a former Army veteran. He was honorably discharged in 2020. We've learned that he had some financial difficulties, multiple divorces. But it's really, what led from that Army veteran, in 5 years ago, and led into this path of radicalization, wanting to carry out such a heinous terror attack as what we saw on New Year's Eve. And I think that what we're going to kind of see in the coming days is the FBI being really transparent. Given this is a deceased suspect, they will be coming out saying, this is what we're learning from his communications. They've obtained 3 phones from him, 2 laptops. They are going to try and crack into those, make sure that, he wasn't communicating on any encrypted apps, messaging people who may have been overseas. That's been a really big focus we've seen in previous investigations of ISIS terrorists.
And we're repeatedly seeing that mass killers are using vehicles as a weapon of choice, with at least 16 worldwide attacks since 2006. So why are these kinds of attacks increasing, and how can officials address this?
Yeah, I think that in America, obviously the most prevalent kind of violence is mass gun violence, but we are seeing an increase in these vehicle-based attacks, and it's obviously because, according to crime analysts, it's because they're so attractive and they can carry out such mass violence in such a quick manner. Obviously, we saw this with just the New Orleans attack. The police that were on the scene there were able to get there remarkably fast, but he was still able to inflict just an unbelievable amount of carnage
carnage not just in minutes, but in seconds. And that, for people who are trying to carry out mass attacks, when you don't have to worry about working a gun that may jam or reloading ammunition, that is just a really attractive kind of way to carry out mass violence.
Yeah, and federal authorities were warning about the threat of those vehicle-based attacks just weeks before. Alex Mallon, thank you for joining us. And this investigation into the attack stretches from New Orleans all the way to the suspect's home in Houston. The FBI says it has finished a search of the home and cleared the area. ABC News' Raia is live near the suspect's home with more. So, Raia, what are we learning from authorities there on what they found at the suspect's home?
Well, Selena, try as we might, the FBI here locally is definitely deferring all of the major questions on evidence that was collected inside the home to the larger investigation and the agents out of New Orleans. But I can tell you, we have been speaking with the family members of the suspect as well as a lot of the neighbors and getting information from them. Over my shoulder, there is a property, and there are 3 different homes on that particular property. Jabbar actually lived in an area that was kind of around the corner from us, so you can't directly see it right now. It is the smallest home on this property, a manufactured home. And we actually spoke with his neighbor that lives just about 50 feet away from his door. He said this was a calm man, a very private man, somebody that he would have never expected to do something like this. He also talked to us about seeing him just a few days ago on New Year's Eve and seeing that white truck that was used in New Orleans right here in the parking lot where we are standing right now. Take a listen to what that neighbor had to say.
Did he strike you as a violent human being? Not at all.
Not at all. Otherwise, we will complain about him. He was quiet, not to bother anybody, not to touch anybody. I have a family, so I was afraid. Right. This type of person will be there. No, he has never bothered.
Now, there are 7 people that live in that home with that family, 5 children. So needless to say, Selena, that family member, that father, he's basically telling us this is shocking, it is sad, and he really is still very fearful and trying to decide if he's going to stay in this area and keep his family here, whether it is safe or not. Overall, the investigation continues. As Alex just pointed out, family members are being spoken to, as well as, old co-workers, people who served with him in the Army, as well as neighbors, family, friends. FBI is saying, listen, if you had any interaction with him, especially over the last few years, let us know. Give us a call. We want to talk to you. Maria, thank you for that report. And be sure to catch a special edition of ABC News Live Prime, co-anchored by
Whit Johnson in New Orleans, with all of the latest developments on the attack. That's tonight, beginning at 7 p.m. Eastern, right here on ABC News Live. And now to the investigation into the Tesla Cybertruck explosion outside the Trump Las Vegas hotel on New Year's Day. Las Vegas police providing new details about the incident, including efforts to identify the body that was found inside the burned vehicle.
We also discovered through the coroner's office that the individual had sustained a gunshot wound to the head prior to the detonation of the vehicle. One of the handguns was found at his feet inside of the vehicle.
Authorities identifying the suspect, who they believe is responsible for the explosion, as active duty U.S. Army soldier Matthew Livisberger. The FBI and ATF conducting a joint search of the suspect's home in Colorado Springs as they look for a possible motive and explore whether to classify the explosion as an act of terror. Joining us now is ABC's Mola Lenghi from Las Vegas. So, Mola, authorities have been looking into several similarities between the New Orleans attack and this Las Vegas explosion, including the similarities of the timing and the fact that they both served in the Army. So investigators are saying that there's no definitive link, but they aren't ruling anything out.
Well, yeah, that's right, Selena. In addition to the similarities you mentioned, the 2 men also were deployed to Afghanistan around the same time in their military deployments, though in different provinces. They both served at Fort Bragg, North Carolina around the same time, though there's no indication that they knew each other, according to authorities. So, yes, many similarities, but again, authorities saying there is no evidence at this point that suggests a connection. Coincidences, yes, at this point, but again, no connection. But again, it is early, and they say they are not ruling ruling anything out. They are going where the evidence ultimately takes them. Now, authorities are investigating this, as you mentioned, as a possible act of terror. They have identified the driver of that Cybertruck as Matthew Leibelsberger, a decorated member of the U.S. Army, a master sergeant in the Green Berets, multiple deployments to Afghanistan and other countries. Leibelsberger was on leave from his active duty post in Germany at the time of the incident here in Las Vegas. Authorities say that he rented the Cybertruck from Denver on December 28th and then spent the next couple of days driving it here to Las Vegas. They pieced this together by tracking the charging stations that he used along his route to charge that Cybertruck. And we have also learned that 2 semi-automatic firearms were found in the vehicle. They were purchased legally, according to the authorities, on December 30th, just a few days before this incident. They were found in the truck along with the mortar fireworks, the fuel, the gas canisters, all those devices. But authorities still, again, investigating a motive. They still have not determined a motive. The why here remains unclear. Authorities are hoping to get into his phones, his computers, and hopefully that will help answer the why question, Selena.
Mola, thank you for that. And to another tragedy now, 3 people are dead and at least 23 others injured after a massive fireworks explosion in Hawaii. Officials say that someone lit a, quote, cake bomb of fireworks in a driveway that flew into and ignited another stash of fireworks. Authorities say the fireworks were put together in a way that made them explosive, describing it as a bomb. Officials say illegal backyard fireworks shows are a growing problem in Hawaii. Lawmakers are now pushing for prison time for anyone caught with large amounts of fireworks. Coming up, Republicans may have won the House, but the race for Speaker is just beginning. Why Mike Johnson is facing an uphill battle despite the support of President-elect Donald Trump.
Are boxed mattresses any good?
If you've been looking for a mattress, you probably noticed that some companies have been shipping their mattresses in boxes for free.
Seems too good to be true, right? No more strapping the mattress to your vehicle, no delivery fees, and no more of that
President Biden saying that officials are now investigating whether there is a link between the deadly terror attack in New Orleans and the Tesla Cybertruck explosion that happened outside of Trump International Hotel in Las Vegas. This is some new video of that explosion. You see it there outside the Trump Hotel. The driver of that vehicle was killed. 7 others were injured. And we now know that that Cybertruck was rented in Colorado.
We are learning from our John Miller that according to multiple law enforcement officers, this person who died in this attack, the driver of the Cybertruck, has a military background. Now, authorities say they do know the name of this driver, but they are not releasing this person's identity until they notify the next of kin. But they did say that this person rented the Cybertruck in Colorado via Turo, drove the Cybertruck down to Las Vegas, and was in Vegas for about an hour before it pulled in front of Trump Tower in the valet area when that explosion happened. We were able to see video that they released that shows the explosives that were contained inside. Right there you can see the Tesla bed, the Cybertruck bed. And some of those explosives included fireworks, gas tanks, and camping fuel. And all of that was connected to a detonation device that was controlled by the driver. Now, what's incredible that the sheriff pointed out is that the explosion was really contained to the Cybertruck
because of the way that the Cybertruck is built. Apparently, the explosion went upwards, not outward, and so none of the glass at the Trump Tower was broken. 7 people were injured with minor injuries, but all of them are okay, and they have been released from the hospital. Now, Las Vegas police believe this was an isolated incident. They are not willing to say at this point that it is connected to the New Orleans incident, but they are investigating. And it is unusual that both drivers did use the Turo app to rent those cars. So obviously this is part of the investigation. We did really receive a statement from Turo tonight that says they're cooperating. They also said that neither of the drivers had a criminal background that would alert them as a security threat. Brianna?
Yeah, lots of questions here. Veronica, thank you for that. With us now, former FBI Deputy Director Andrew McCabe. We have former Assistant Secretary of Homeland Security Juliette Kayyem and former Boston Police Commissioner Ed Davis with us. Andy, you have President Biden confirming tonight officials are investigating whether there's a link between these 2 attacks. So we've talked about some of the similarities. What are the things you're looking at that could point in that direction?
Most people have no clue that in 2024, the best way to make money with Amazon is not with physical products. It's Amazon's other company, Audible. Audible has been paying me a steady and reliable income every month for years, and I'm not the only one. People like Katrina, Carmen, Elena, and Renee are all enjoying a significant monthly income using the same system.
Just this past month, I reached $8,000 in revenue, and I'm on track to reach $10,000 in revenue this month.
I've been able to go from 0 to 22K in 7 months, and of course, this completely changed my life.
I do this on a part-time basis, about 5 to 10 hours a week. I earn about $40,000 a year. There's no other job that pays with that little time.
And the best part is, it's a highly automated system. You're not buying any inventory, you're not shipping any products, you're not investing thousands of dollars. And it's so simple, you need 0 tech skills to get started with Audible. So I discovered this gold mine of an app a few years ago by complete accident. And since then, it's helped thousands of other people use it to supplement and grow their income so that they can comfortably pay all their expenses and have more money left over every month. And if you want to see exactly how they did it, tap on this video and you can watch the same free training they did, where I break down the 3 simple steps to adding a new monthly income stream with Audible. And listen, the reason people are having such amazing results with this is not because I'm some genius. It's because no one knows about this yet. So look, you can choose to ignore this video and pretend you didn't see anything. Or you can be like Steven, who says, I'm so glad I didn't skip that YouTube ad because my last check from Audible was life-changing. That's how powerful this can be. So to find out exactly how this Audible method works and how you can install it in your own life, just hit the link down below and watch the short training video right now. The training is 100% free, so there's absolutely no reason to not see what it's all about. And just by watching it, you're also going to get 3 bonuses included that are going to help you get started with Audible faster than you ever thought possible. So tap the link below, claim your free bonuses, and get in on the ground floor of this amazing new opportunity for extra income. Look, the most important thing you can do right now is don't waste any more time. Hit the link, go through the training, and learn the 3-step process that is providing life-changing results for so many people. Hit the link, and I'll see you in the training.
Avoid these foods if you want to lose weight fast.
You're a female and you want to get toned and you want to get fit, you have 15 pounds that you want to lose. You can actually take your body and mold it in any way you want. That's what people don't understand. You just got to really boost your metabolism up and you're going to have a beautiful toned body. It's very simple.
Girl, what the
are you doing? I think you need to listen to this. Throughout my entire life, I have kept a very healthy diet. The typical bodybuilder diet, chicken, fish, broccoli. This is before I knew what I know now. Have you seen this guy? The one that says stop doing cardio? You might want to listen to him.
If you want to drop this, start eating more of these. Starving ourselves, eating salads, and cutting out carbs. Doing this never works and only leads to more frustration.
You might think this would take years to learn, but we're going to teach it to you in 60 seconds. Watch this. This is a metabolism killer, this is a metabolism killer, and this is a metabolism killer. If you're over 40 and running on the treadmill endlessly and eating salads all day just to lose a few pounds, just stop and listen to what I'm about to tell you. In your 20s, it's easy, right? Put on muscle easily, we're fit, we got tons of stamina, tons of time sometimes. But as you get older, you may not be able to lose weight as quickly or as easily. You may not be able to put muscle on so easily. And you may think or may have been told that there's nothing you can do about it. Well, that isn't true.
This is how to get in shape fast. Dr. Drew here. When it comes to cardio, it's true that it burns calories, mainly in the form of carbohydrates free in the blood. But here's the deal. After you work up a sweat, your body tends to replace those calories with your next meal. Steady state cardio can actually release cortisol. Cortisol, of course, is your body's stress hormone, and it's not what you're looking for. It could lead to further muscle breakdown. If you don't like doing steady state cardio, don't do it. Number one, it's not a great way to lose weight. And number two, you're going to hate it. If you hate it and it's not working, you will eventually give up.
Dr. Drew and my wife Susan here, we want to show you something.
You've probably seen this guy all over your feed claiming that cutting carbs isn't necessary for weight loss. Now, I know it sounds too good to be true, but let me tell you, there's more to this than meets the eye.
The science of weight loss was cracked a long time ago. It's not a trend, it's facts. Following all those like trendy fad diets, all those trending workouts that you see online is literally a waste of time. There's already a proven, research-backed way to lose weight and keep it off.
I decided to delve into this topic and do some research. Turns out this guy is a celebrity trainer who's gained a massive following for challenging mainstream advice. He claims that what we've been told about weight loss is wrong, completely wrong. I've witnessed thousands of clients on B-Shred transform their lives and achieve their best shapes ever by dedicated, say, 20 minutes a day to 3 simple practices. And you know what? It makes a lot of sense when you listen to what he has to say.
The truth is that Hollywood's elite actors and actresses, they can get super ripped because they followed a long ignored technique that was used for generations of bodybuilders and athletes before steroids were even popular. So what's their approach? Well, they ruthlessly cut through the fluff because they have zero time to waste because their next film role is starting in just a few weeks, and so they can't waste time on the wrong program.
Cut out carbs, sugar. It was just not sustainable. Boom, I gained it back so fast. This time I feel like I've done it the healthy way. I've lost 30 pounds. Just do it. Just do it. You won't regret it. You're gonna see it too. You're gonna be like, dang, I look good.
For a while, I just completely cut out carbs, and I realized that was a mistake. After I gave the carbs back, I dropped another 30 pounds.
You will never have to be on the treadmill again. I want to say slowly the weight started coming off, but it came off faster than I thought it would.
All these foods that you don't think that you ever get to eat when following a diet, I'm eating them and I'm in the best shape of my life. Carbs actually regulate your metabolism. Carbs are one of the best ways to give your body energy. If you cycle your carbs properly, you eat more carbs than you've probably ever eaten on a diet, and you get far better results than you've probably ever gotten.
I don't even weigh 210 pounds. You've lost me. That's insane.
I now went from a 6XL.
Well, so far, Brianna, we have two not necessarily relevant similarities, right? We know they both went to the same rental car agency, essentially this online service that facilitates private citizens leasing their own or renting their own cars to people. They both use that same service. And we know that they both have military backgrounds. But again, these are things that could easily have been coincidence. That's not to say that these two events are not related. They wouldn't be investigating that very question if they thought it was something that wasn't possible. And if it turns out, and again, this is a big if because we don't know that at this point, but if it turns out that these two individuals knew each other, then we have a very significant issue on our hands here. That points to a conspiracy, coordinated effort that spans a large area, right? 2 very different states. We know the Las Vegas attacker started in Colorado, drove to Las Vegas and detonated that truck there, whereas the other, the New Orleans attacker started in Houston and ended up, of course, in New Orleans to commit his attack. So connecting these two would be highly significant, but we are not quite on the verge of doing that at this point. We need a lot more detail to figure out if there are actually any interactions between these two people. Law enforcement has many resources, intelligence resources, law enforcement resources at their disposal that they can push against to see if there are any indicators that. I'm sure they're doing exactly that tonight.
Yeah, and Juliet,